Welcome back to the Out of Bounds podcast. I am Gavin Williams alongside
Charlie Caleri.
And pardon me if my voice sounds a little hoarse. Big game Saturday, big loss Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it was a rough loss, but Gavin's bouncing back, and it's all right. We'll bear with you.
Yeah, so if I interrupt myself or try to catch my voice back into the game, just beware of that. But today we have the Super Bowl recap in what I thought was one of the best Super Bowls I ever watched in my whole life.
Same, me too. I mean, this game was definitely a top 5 Super Bowl I think I've watched. And definitely, I mean, I think we've been really spoiled the last few years. I heard some people say that the last few years have been pretty disappointing Super Bowl-wise, and I just completely disagree with that. I mean, I don't know what more you want out of Super Bowl, especially from this year and last year. I mean, this year went all the way down to the end of OT, which we have never seen, especially in a Super Bowl. And then last year we had a 38-35 game. So I don't know what people want. I mean, they complain about there being more defensive games, and then last year we had one of the highest scoring Super Bowls of all time, and they complain about that too. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest complaint about this one was that there was a little bit of a short first half per se. I mean, going into halftime, it was 10-3. And, I mean, people can complain all they want, but what we're going to do today is we're going to take it quarter by quarter. So if you just wanted to listen back in on a little recap, we got you covered, don't you worry. And so we'll start with the first quarter. And first quarter was slow. First quarter had 2 really looking promising drives. Opening drive for the Niners looked really good until that Christian McCaffrey fumble, which we never see.
Yeah, I mean, I thought definitely on the first drive he was scoring a touchdown. I mean, or nonetheless, I thought the Niners were scoring a touchdown. But if they score on that drive right there, I think they blow the Chiefs out.
I think they do too.
Honestly, I mean, to have a drive like that, they get down there in 5 plays. They go 48 yards in 5 plays. Obviously, the last one was a fumble, so I guess 48 yards in 4 plays. But, I mean, that play from Juszczyk, second play of the game, setting that up.
Huge.
Where did that come out?
That was huge. Hurdle in the end. He was fired up.
They really haven't come to Juszczyk all year, and definitely in the passing game. But in the running game, he's been more effective for them, as usual. But, I mean, McCaffrey fumbling there just is something you definitely did not expect.
Yeah. And then coming right back down the next drive, the Chiefs were moving a little bit. And then, or I don't know if it was exactly the next drive, but Pacheco had a fumble inside the red zone. And
it was a few drives down the line. It went fumble and then 3 straight punts after that. And then this is when we started to realize, hey, this might not be
the flashy game.
The flashy game. And that was the end of the first quarter, actually. So that was 0-0 after 1. And then we get to the second quarter, end of the first quarter. Niners still have the ball. Most of their drive was in the first quarter, and then they end up kicking that record-setting field goal by Jake Moody, Michigan legend, to go up 3-0 in the Super Bowl, a 55-yarder record-breaking kick. Wow, what a record, huh? Well, then the next drive,
they got the stop.
The next drive, they get the stop. They got the Pacheco fumble, which was, I mean, basically wiped out the McCaffrey fumble. So at that point, you're saying McCaffrey's back in it for Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Pacheco, you might be out for Super Bowl MVP. And if the Niners,
and that was the drive that Travis Kelce got taken out of the game.
Yeah.
And he went right up to Andy Reid, and he said that he told him how much he loved him. I don't know if it was about that.
Yeah, no.
He was heated. He was heated, all right.
And what are your thoughts on that, Gavin? What are your thoughts on that whole situation with
people
Kelce?
Got to learn to grow a set. They got to get some onions, man, because that's just a player with
double order?
It just happens. That's an onions double order moment. Hey, everybody's bashing Kelce for this. I mean, this is what happened all the time in the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s. And now because we're so soft in this day and age, a player can't talk back to his coach. I mean, it happens.
I have more of a problem with that he hit him. That's what I had a problem with. Him. I had a problem with that.
I got a couple slaps on my butt when I played football. It's like, and he's the higher authority. Yeah, he probably shouldn't have bumped him at all, but it's not like he shoved him to the ground and was like flipping him off. He just gave him a little bump. He was like, hey, keep me in the goddamn game. And I mean, it's a Super Bowl. If it was a regular season game, I would be probably heated. But it's a Super Bowl.
I understand.
The only thing that shows for me is that how much he cares about his team winning the game. That's what I take.
Yeah, no, I fully understand that side, but I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate here. And I just don't. I mean, Andy Reid is one of the most respected coaches of all time, and Travis Kelce is one of the most respected tight ends of all time. Maybe up until some of the moments that he's had recently. But nonetheless, still very well respected league wide and all time. But nonetheless, I mean, Travis Kelce, you can't let your emotions get to that point where you already know the spotlight's going to be on you because of your girlfriend sitting in the crowd, who showed for the percentage was 1% of the broadcast was Taylor Swift during the Super Bowl, which is not right. Should be 0%. That's my opinion, though. But yeah, I don't think you should be shoving or bumping into a coach, especially a coach like Andy Reid, especially just like an elderly person in general. I think that's just more of a respect thing. So that's just where I see it from.
Yeah, I mean, Andy Reid could take it though.
Yeah, I know he's maybe the exception to that, but
Yeah, I mean, after that drive, Niners came rolling, and they pulled out their bag of tricks with Kyle Shanahan and his fun-looking offense that he always has in his first half. I'm gonna say that his first half.
First half.
And Brock Purdy rolls out, throws it back to Juwan Jennings. He stops.
We'll talk about him later too.
Throws it to Christian McCaffrey about a yard and a half up, but across the entire field.
Yeah.
Takes it to the crib. Exciting play. That's when I thought they were gonna get rolled because they look good.
That was, I mean, one of the most electric Super Bowl plays of all time. One of the best trick plays of all time, especially if they win that game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Juwan Jennings play right there. I mean, that's the Nick Foles equivalent to the Eagles winning right there if they win that game. I know it's like same similar situation, but or trick play, but kind of like that. But I mean, that moment right there, and then the Chiefs right after it getting that record-setting field goal. Harrison Butker hitting that 58-yarder. Sorry, no, this was the 28-yarder. My bad.
Yeah, that was the 28-yarder.
This is in the first half. So Harrison Butker hit that 28-yarder in the first half, 58-yarder later in the game. But to go down 13 plays, 65 yards in 4 minutes, get that field goal, but just to get on the board.
Getting on the board was good.
Getting on the board right before half, and you get the ball at half. They knew that too. They knew they had a long half to wait for. And Gav, I want you to take it away with your halftime show analysis.
So, 3 words. Not a fan. I was not a fan.
I thought it was going to be, oh my God.
And this is how I worded it. It was the first quarter of it was dog. The next 50% built up. I'd say if I had to divide into 4 quarters of halftime, the first half was garbage.
First half was
throw it out the window.
This was honestly the halftime show was kind of like the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the first half was garbage. Second half was and then the fourth quarter was great. I mean, he brought his special guests.
Lil Jon.
He had Alicia Keys. But he was rubbing up on someone's wife. I want to put that out there right now.
Swizz Beatz.
I'm going to put that out. If you're rubbing up on someone else's wife, I think that Swizz Beatz has every right to kick the living out of him.
Maybe.
That's all I got to say.
Maybe.
But he was sweating. He was on rollerblades. I mean, what happened to just the good old play some drums, grab a guitar, and listen to a halftime show?
And I mean, the problem I had with Usher was, I mean,
he didn't play his songs.
He didn't play his big songs until everybody was out there, and then he wasn't even really singing. It was everybody else. So I felt like it wasn't really Usher's halftime show. It was like everybody else with a little side of Usher, Usher was like the only constant throughout the whole thing.
Third base bar and grill.
It's kind of like it was kind of like Saturday Night Live when the host is in every skit, but they might not be the main character. It's kind of like that. That's how it felt.
I hope they make a skit about this because
it was not.
But I mean, that's all.
4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 halftime show.
I'd give it a 4.1. 4.1 out of 10.
4.1. That's fair. That's fair.
But
back to the game.
Now we're actually talking about the game, and the Chiefs came right out of the drive, and it was a 9-play and 47-yard drive, pretty straight drive. Couldn't connect on that third down, and Harrison Butker. Then he set the new record.
Yeah,
for the
new Super Bowl record, 58-yarder over Jake Moody, Michigan legend. I'll say it every time. But I mean,
the kicking in this game was great. I want to point that out.
The special teams in this game
huge.
was great, and I just want to point this out. So to start this half, there was the pick by Mahomes, which was the third play of the half. Which honestly, at that point, you thought this is the Niners game, and then you get 3 straight punts, 2 of them by the Niners, 1 by the Chiefs, obviously. But I mean, throughout those 2 punts right there, somebody emerged as a potential Super Bowl MVP.
I voted for him when they brought out this little QR code and the link. And they're like, okay, go vote for your Super Bowl MVP. One man His name is Chris
Because
Conley.
this game was at 13 points total throughout. I mean, it was going to look like a total of 3 quarters. It was going to be 13 points total. I mean, it ended up with 47, but we obviously didn't know that yet. So we were thinking, hey, it might be a weird player, a special teams player MVP here. And that's where Chris Conley came into play. I mean, Chris Conley.
Everywhere.
Man. Chris Conley?
He had like a 15-yard reception.
Yeah.
He had,
which was a big first down pickup in
Yeah.
that game. I think it was a third down.
It was. He had 3 tackles that were all huge
Mhm.
on a punt. And
Lit up Richie James.
he was not having a good game.
No.
Richie,
Mm-mm.
he did not. He didn't know how to wave his hand for a fair catch.
No.
He got lit up by Chris Conley.
Chris Conley. I mean, Chris, honestly, I was like, this might be the most, I don't want to call him irrelevant because Chris Conley's obviously, made it to the NFL and whatnot, but it might be like the most irrelevant Super Bowl MVP. And I guess that might be the most honorable thing that you can have to be irrelevant for. But I was hoping that Chris Conley was trending in that direction because it was going to be a very interesting end of that game if he ended up being the guy.
That would have been awesome.
But then another guy emerged, Juwan Jennings, slowly throughout the game. I mean, he had some crucial pickups. He ended up being their number 1 guy. One thing I didn't like about this game was Brock Purdy's decision-making. I mean, he didn't really cost his team much. He didn't throw a pick, so, I mean, that was a plus side for the team. But he wasn't throwing to the right guys, I feel like. He was throwing to Debo a lot. I think Debo had two or three receptions on about 10 or 11 targets. Can't have that in the Super Bowl.
You have a 1,300-yard receiver in Brandon Ayuk. He's only getting 3 catches in the entire game. George Kittle only got 2 catches in the entire game.
And they were both late.
Yeah. Like, use your weapons, man. You have one of the most explosive offenses in the entire league by far.
It wasn't Debo's day. I mean,
No.
someday it could have been.
But it
and
wasn't.
That was their game plan. But you got to go away from the game plan sometimes. I think that's what Shanahan really struggles with in the Super Bowls. I mean, we've seen it 3 times now. 1 as a coordinator and 2 as a head coach. So
Yeah. And it obviously didn't work out in his favor because once the 49ers once the Chiefs got a stop when they were down 4, they come right back down the field and they find my guy, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS.
right after that fumbled punt. First play, right after that fumbled punt. That was massive.
Huge.
Massive.
And then Patrick Mahomes, he just knows how to do it, man. When you get him in the red zone, and I thought this ball, it was a nice 2 ball coming off his hand. A 2 ball. So 1 ball is a lob, 3 balls a bullet, 2 ball is right over the linebacker.
A little touch pass.
Right over the linebacker. And that thing almost skimmed that linebacker's head. Perfect throw.
First of
That's
all,
a perfect 2 ball.
shout out to Dre Greenlaw going
Yeah.
down with that injury. We never want to see that. I thought he was on track early in the game to be Super Bowl MVP. He was flying around over there. But, I mean, hopefully he can be back at the end of next season, hopefully for a playoff run for the Niners. But
I don't know.
that's a
Torn
tough injury.
Achilles. Looked just like the KD one.
I know.
I don't know.
I just want to be hopeful for him. But hopefully he could be the 2025 Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Slot it in right now.
Yeah.
Slot it in right now.
But, I mean, yeah. Perfect 2 ball right to an MVS. Puts the Chiefs up in this game. And with their first lead in the third quarter, that's where they got their 50. I'm looking at the analytics. Their 58% win rate from the ESPN ratings. It was 59.6%. They were projected to win right after that touchdown catch.
Wow.
That put them up big. I mean, that touchdown was, in my opinion, the turning point of the game, where it's
when the team started realizing, hey, we gotta
can
kick it into gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have to try to win this game. We can't just be a game manager the whole game. But I feel like that's how Super Bowls usually go. They always try to be too conservative early in the game, and then they realize, hey, we actually have to try to win this game at some point. And then both these teams realized it late in the third, early in the fourth. For the Niners, I mean, late in the third here, they realized, hey, down 3, we just blew another 10-point lead to these guys. Can't do it again. So they go down 12 plays, 75 yards, 6 minutes. I mean, that was a drive of beauty.
Sustained drive.
That was a beautiful drive, honestly. I mean, they were getting away from their game plan, and finally in that they went back to McCaffrey, mostly McCaffrey, honestly. I don't even want to say really anybody else because it was honestly just him that drive. So, and then Juwan Jennings, late in that drive, catching that touchdown pass. I mean, that's when he really solidified his potential case for Super Bowl MVP at the time.
And then there was a blocked PAT on this.
Which Yeah, which turned out to be massive
Huge.
in this game.
And so Chiefs come right back down with a 12-play, 69-yard, 5-minute drive for themselves, and they get a field goal. They tie it right back up in the fourth quarter. And that's a big kick to tie the ball game up in the fourth quarter with about 5 minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, we were thinking that's the last drive for the Niners right there. Like, this has to be it. They just had a 6-minute drive. They can do a 5-minute drive again, kick a field goal, win the Super Bowl. That's all you got to do, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's obviously easier said than done, but, I mean, like we mentioned, the special teams was amazing in this game. It was fun to watch if you're a special teams fan, which I am. I'm a special teams enthusiast. So, I mean, this was a really fun game. Field goals. We had some block kicks. We had some fumbles on kickoffs. We had some
huge tackles.
Some
by Chris
great tackles.
Conley.
I mean, this was a special teams game for you. Pat McAfee definitely loved this one.
Yeah.
But then the Niners come down 7 plays, 40 yards, probably not as long as they wanted, only being 3:53, leaving a minute 50 on the clock.
Nothing more than Mahomes is smiling at the end of this one.
Yeah, I mean, you leave a minute 53 on the clock for Mahomes. I mean, what else do you expect?
It's not even called a 2-minute drill anymore for him.
No.
That's just a normal drive. There's no more such thing as a 2-minute drill when Patrick Mahomes has the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
That's his mojo right there.
The Niners going up 19-16 right here, and let me preface this: the Niners have the lead at this moment right here. Okay, so with 1:53 left in the Super Bowl, 19-16, you need one stop.
One stop.
You need one stop in
fourth and one opportunity.
And you're Super Bowl champions. Okay, so this is the Chiefs' drive right here. They had 11 plays, 64 yards, in a minute 50. Obviously, it ended in that field goal.
Game time field goal. But the one thing that will separate someone from the whole game right here is Patrick Mahomes using his legs. 4th and 1. They were inside their own territory, game on the line. They don't get this first down conversion. You think it's going right to Pacheco. Andy Reid, absolutely beautiful of a play call. Pulls out a little 1-yard passing play to Travis Kelce, but Patrick Mahomes decides to tuck it. He finds 20 yards.
Such a good design play, or such a well-designed play, because, I mean, they really could have done anything on that play. And you know how deadly Travis Kelce is in that short little dump pass game, because he can just body anybody, get to the first down. But Mahomes taking that one for 20, it was kind of electric, honestly.
It was awesome. I mean, Patrick Mahomes used his feet twice on this drive. He had a 20-yard and a 30-yard.
He used his legs when it matters most.
Yeah. And Patrick Mahomes was the leading rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs in this game. And for that, it was most of it was on that last drive. But that's when it mattered the most. Yeah. And this guy's a winner. He's not a loser. He's a winner.
No, and honestly, I mean, you get down there. I mean, you got 10 seconds left, and you get down to the 10 with Kelce, and you're thinking, they might win the Super Bowl right now.
He tried forcing it. Couldn't connect.
Yeah, I mean, you knew he was going to Kelce on that play. And honestly, I wish they didn't, because they probably would have won if they went to anybody else. But actually, I'm glad he didn't, because now we reached overtime. The second overtime in Super Bowl history. And so before they go out, Fred Warner, Patrick Mahomes meet at midfield. I mean, that was the story of the game right there. It was the Niners defense late in that game versus the Chiefs offense kind of coming back. So kind of fitting that those two met at midfield. But ref explains the rules to both teams. I'll preface that right now. And they flip the coin. It's tails. And Niners win the toss. They take the ball, right? They wanted the ball third. That's what Kyle Shanahan said. They wanted the ball third, not first.
I respect that play from Shanahan. I'm going to say it right now.
Yeah, and I understand it. Like, you don't think – I mean, obviously with the new rules, both teams get the ball. And if, the same result happened
whoever got the ball next.
Obviously you want the ball. You want the ball first, but I was just bothered by that he said he wanted the ball third. Mm-hmm. More importantly than first. Like, you want the ball first. You want to score a touchdown. Obviously, that's not going to end the game, but then they can only score a touchdown. So, and then you get the ball third, and then you worry about it then.
He's worried about a field goal for the win.
Yeah, so, I mean, what they did, they had a slow, methodical drive. Great drive, honestly. Took up more than half the quarter.
Yeah, it was 7 minutes and 38 seconds.
Remarkable. Another one from this team. Ended in a field goal, though, in very disappointing fashion. And let me preface this. The Niners left so many points on the board during this game. Early in the game, on that, I think it was that McCaffrey fumble drive, first drive of the game. I think that was the drive that Ayuk had that ball go over his head in the end zone, right?
Yeah, it was.
And he kind of just like couldn't see it. Left points there, left that extra point, which would have won you that game at that point. And then leaving those 4 points on the board. I'm not saying to go for it or anything or be stupid. I think the field goal is the right choice. But, I mean, at the same time, I mean, getting a field goal there with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, you got to find a way to get in the end zone.
You do.
And then the Chiefs got the ball next.
Yeah, they got the ball. And the man that you want on your team, when you're in that late game of a situation, you got a chance to either tie it up or go win it, is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that's the guy you want. That's exactly the guy who did it. 13 plays, 75 yards, and a 7-minute and 19-second drive. 3 seconds left on the clock. Didn't matter. Those 3 seconds, a lot of people were confused.
I still kind of am.
Everybody thinks overtime was over after that 3 seconds. Not true. That's technically a first quarter.
Mm.
Those 3 seconds run out. They flip sides, second quarter of overtime.
Okay.
They're rewarded their entire drive.
So the Chiefs. Okay, so is that only because that was the Chiefs' first drive of the half?
Yes.
So say that what happened was everything's halved right now. Let's say that the Niners score in 4 minutes, Chiefs score a field goal in 4 minutes, Niners come down, score another field goal, and then the Chiefs come down, right? If that happens, they get down to 3 seconds.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Okay.
First, so say it was a field goal, then a field goal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, then the Niners would have won.
Niners would have
won. You're right. Okay. So that makes complete sense. I wish they would have at least maybe, I mean, not for the Niners out of everybody, but I'm saying for the general fans that maybe didn't know the OT rule, especially the first time it happening, being in the Super Bowl. I wish they maybe would have explained that part of it a little bit.
The only reason why
further.
I understood it is because right when Super Bowl overtime was starting, I saw on Instagram, Adam Schefter posted a picture on Instagram with all the rules on it, and I read it.
Oh, okay.
That's the reason why I knew.
Yeah, I wish that I saw it said like first of 2 halves or whatever, but obviously you don't think that's going to happen in an OT game, and usually it probably wouldn't, and it probably won't.
Yeah.
I mean, who's to say? But Chiefs go down, have the best drive that they've ever had, and win that game in 3 seconds left. McCole Hardman wins the Super Bowl.
That play looked exactly like the play that Deshaun Watson won with Clemson.
Hunter Renfrow
against Alabama. That's all I said after the game. It's all it reminded me of. I liked it.
I mean, that play looked like it was 100% going to work. The only thing that would have messed up is if Mahomes would have either like booted it threw it right into the ground, or threw it right in the stands. That would have been the only way that they wouldn't have won that game in that moment. But that would have been a really interesting call, because I saw that after the game, when they were talking about it, a lot of the Niners players were obviously confused with the rules, and they said that they didn't even prepare for overtime, which is just poor on the coaching, poor on the players for not even bringing it up, poor on the ownership and the management for not bringing it up. I mean, and then the Chiefs said they practiced that every week in the playoffs and twice before the Super Bowl, so they were prepared. They won this game. I mean,
that's Andy Reid for you.
That's all it is. I mean, you got to think of every situation that you can be in for the Super Bowl. I'm surprised at this point Shanahan hasn't thought of everything that can happen, considering he blew a 25-point lead one time as an offense. But
biggest collapse he's been in the only other overtime in a Super Bowl game. You think you'd study up a little bit more just in case if it happened again.
I mean, and I want to feel bad for the guy, but I really can't, because he's honestly done it to himself all 3 times. Mm-hmm. They had the championship all 3 times, and he went away from the game plan all 3 times. When will this guy learn, or when will his players learn to say, hey, coach, let's just stick with it. Let's win this game? Because at some point, the players have to be able to override the coach in a situation, especially in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, with all that, great Super Bowl. The Bears are on the clock. What do you think happens?
What do I think happens?
The Chicago Bears, you are on the clock.
It's different from what I want to happen.
What do you think happens?
I think they draft Caleb Williams.
I think
they keep the first pick. But what I want to happen is they trade out of 1, trade for most likely elite offensive player, and then you keep Justin Fields, write him out for 2 more years, and if you don't like him after that, get rid of him then. I know the point of saving those extra years of the contract is pretty important, but I feel like giving up on a guy after 2 years, especially when you don't really know his full potential yet, usually
It's a ball player.
usually doesn't work out for a team. So I think it would just be a really big mistake for the Chicago Bears, especially a franchise like them, who their best quarterback of all time is arguably Jay Cutler. So they probably want an elite QB, and that might be the case for you saying them going and getting Caleb Williams. But I mean, if you're somewhat of a Caleb Williams doubter, of any doubt that he can be a bust, then I think you'd keep Justin Fields.
Justin Fields is a great ball player, but I think my friend Jake Dote said it the best, and he said, Justin Fields he's pretty good, he's pretty raw, but he's not going to be the guy who will ever lead you in the playoffs. And I can 100% believe that.
He's proved it in the past that he can't really win those games.
And
unfortunately for him,
and
not for me.
I feel like if this guy's just given another shot on a different team, I think he could be the guy. But I think they gave him the weapon this year.
But they gave him a weapon.
I know it was only one. But I think Justin Fields. I actually do like him. He's my favorite college quarterback ever. I'll say it right now. I mean, it sucks to say because when I saw he got picked at 10 with the Bears, I was just burying myself in the couch, mad. So this kid's a good ball player. This is a guy who cares about his team more than anybody on the entire Chicago Bears roster, and I'm just scared that he's not going to get another shot. And I think a great move, and I know everybody's saying it, but if he's a Pittsburgh Steeler, man, that guy can light it up.
I mean, I don't want that because I don't want him in the AFC because I really do think he's going to be. I'm not going to say he's going to be an elite QB.
I think this third year will be his leap into not an MVP guy, but he could be a franchise guy.
He'll be that. You think he'll be that guy that's like the fourth year they'll be like, oh, he might win MVP. He'll be like that guy. Yeah. I mean, I think at this point for Fields and the Bears, I think you have to look at also the possibility of just going to get Marv. I mean, why? That's what I think they should do. I think they should just trade back to 3 or 4, maybe 2 if you want to play it safe, but 3 or 4, trade back, draft Marv.
That doesn't work out.
Get more pick assets. You still have that pick at 10 or 9 or whatever they have, and then you keep Fields. I mean, if it doesn't work with Marv and DJ Moore and Khalil Herbert and Cole Kmet, all those guys, then you let Fields go next year, and then you draft another guy.
Yeah, and
I just feel like the risk outweighs the reward with getting Caleb Williams. I could be totally wrong about that, but
I think everybody's a little bit too nervous in the whole Bears franchise about that this is a QB year, and they're thinking that this has to be the year that they draft a QB, but there's a good QB in every single draft. And if they're bad, they're bad. It happens. And I think if you give them another weapon and you give him one more year, if he's not, the first half of the season he was horrible, but he was hurt. Then he was out.
Yeah.
Came back. That last half of the season he looked amazing.
I agree.
Beat the Lions.
Yeah.
He took the Packers all the way to the end.
They had a shot to make the playoffs. They had a long shot. They were a long shot to make the playoffs in like week 15 or 16, which nobody thought at week 9.
Yeah.
So, I mean, props to him for bringing them back in. I want to see a full season of that. So if they get rid of him this offseason, I just hope he goes to a team that will appreciate him and make sure that he has the weapons around him. I feel like a team that could be brought up is maybe Seattle. They don't really – I feel like he could go in there. Geno could be the backup. Geno would be a great mentor for him, I feel like, too. And they have the weapons there. They got DK, they got Lockett, they got Kenneth Walker. They got a lot of guys over there. So, Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is excited that their offensive coordinator's gone now.
Yep. Do not like him.
So, and they can get that connection back, too. So, that'd be a really big pickup, I think, for Seattle if they can go after him.
I just hope he's out of the NFC if they do trade him. And I think that will be the Bears' mindset, is they don't want to see him ever. So I think
no, probably not.
I think it would be great if he went
because they know if they play him and they trade him to an NFC team, and he turns out to be good, he's gonna light up Soldier Field. And Caleb Williams might not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I really do hope that Caleb Williams is a bust because I don't like his whole drama act. I was a big fan of him up until this year.
Was too. Yeah, I don't like how he just seemed very self-centered this year. And hopefully that's not the way that NIL is going to go, especially for those top-rated guys. I don't think it is, but I do think there's going to be some of those guys that happens sometimes. But I just don't think he is going to be a guy that might not be able to. He might not be able to handle the I'll say the pressure or backlash of any like the media or anybody of the
He wouldn't be
fan
able to,
base that would come after him. I don't think he'd be able to handle that personally,
think so
especially in Chicago.
No.
Chicago's not a city where they're sick of it. Honestly, I mean you're going there number one. They're expecting you to be the guy,
number one.
the guy. So they've been waiting for a good Bears team for a while. So I mean, you better deliver if you're going there, Caleb.
Yeah, I agree. And what are the rookies you got your eyes on except for Marv? Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be one of the greatest.
I'm obviously thinking about the Bills too. Haven't thought about them too much recently, but starting to have them creep back in my mind. I'm thinking about a corner, secondary, anybody that can really help back there. Cooper DeJean from Iowa is a guy that I like a lot. He just seems like a really good fit with our team.
He can make some history too.
Yeah, he could. He's a white corner. There's not many white corners, I guess, in the league. So, I mean, that would be just different, I guess. But he's projected to go around the Bills and potentially could maybe go to the Packers too. Never know.
I wouldn't mind.
Never know. Who do you guys want?
I was
Who you
thinking
looking at?
more of a Cooper DeJean, maybe. But I mean, I don't think corner's our biggest hole. In
No,
the
I
team.
agree.
So honestly, I maybe boost on the line. The line could use a little help, maybe,
Okay.
or maybe a little secondary, maybe safety. We're kind of dying for a safety, especially if we let Darnell Savage walk, and maybe another linebacker because who knows? Devondre Campbell might be out in a couple of years. I don't know. It also depends what A.J. Dillon's going to do. I mean, I don't want a running back first round.
Yeah, I don't think they would go. I honestly think they should go O-line or just go defense. I really don't think this is the year to go offense. I know. Like in the past, you guys have been so defensive first half or first round, but I don't think you should force an offensive player just to pick one.
Yeah, and now we got a new defense coordinator. Give him another weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's not that fan though, right? That wrote that letter. It's not him.
No, not that fan. Mark
I
Murphy
wish.
was not going to let him.
I wish it was
swat
him.
He said he was very very excited about his fantasy football accomplishments, but it wouldn't work in the real world.
Well, I mean, hopefully this draft works out, and we'll have more draft stuff coming up soon.
It's not even April yet.
Yeah, it's not even
still
April.
February.
We're not even past March Madness yet, so we're gonna be talking about some NBA soon. We'll have an episode coming later this week. Talking about NBA and the All-Star Game specifically, and then next week we'll get into maybe a first half NBA recap. So be on the lookout for that stuff. Make sure to follow us on Instagram.
At Out of Bounds Podcast with dot between every single word.
Yes, there is, Gavin. You got anything else?
Football season's over, guys. We got 205 more days until the next football game.
Is that right?
Yesterday was 206. So
Wow.
On the day of recording is Tuesday, February 13th. And 205
days until NFL football.
Only 200
Oh,
days.
until NFL football or college football too?
We got 199 days until college football.
There we go.
So
hey, we're inside 200.
Hughes is coming back this year, and Fran Brown's going to lead Kyle McCord to an ACC championship. So we'll see that happen.
Guess we'll see. It's going to
Schedule's
be
in our favor. Sorry.
It's going to be rough without football, but I think we'll get through it. I mean, we got some other sports to keep us company.
We have a great slate of sports coming up. We got right now. It's the regular season for a lot of things, but now is the crunch time of college basketball. Then we get the conference championship college basketball. Then we get to March Madness, and then after March Madness, we got a little Masters for you golf fans out there.
NHL, NBA playoffs.
And playoffs for both those
Oh,
teams
yeah.
bring us all the way to
NFL
summer.
draft.
And then NFL draft, and we got all the way to summer.
Oh,
And then summer is baseball, and it's the most pitiful of all sports in the world. But we got the Olympics this summer, something to look forward to.
oh yeah, there is the Olympics this summer.
It lasts only like 2 weeks, so summer's just rough. It's a rough sport.
I enjoy baseball.
I mean, baseball in the summer is meant for baseball in the summer because summer's meant for everything else.
Wow.
You can do anything else you
Okay.
want. You got vacations, you got work, you got hanging out with your buddies, you got all this stuff you need to do. That's why it's just baseball. It's like if you get home and baseball's on, I'll throw it on.
Oh my god.
And that's kind of how
that's
it
kind
is.
of right. Yeah, no, that's true.
I mean, but that's why it's playing in the summer.
yeah. No, it's a fair point.
And we got spring training coming soon for baseball, and
I'm
opening
excited for
days
spring
coming.
training.
and
Actually,
big season for the Yanks. We got
Ace unveiled the spring
Soto.
training caps. Some of those are kind of cool.
I'll check those out.
Some of those are kind of cool. So, I mean, they're usually not that cool. They try to make them cool.
It's just spring
They're
training.
not.
though.
They're just spring training. Yeah. I don't watch spring training.
I don't either.
No, I'll keep track of like the minor league guys that I know, like the Bison's guys, but usually I know that they're going to be back. So I mean, when I watched them one time in spring training, I'm like, yeah, they're definitely going to be back after I see them strike out 3 pitches against Garrett Cole. It's not a good look for them. But love those guys anyway. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys have a great day.
Have a day.